Hello and welcome to this Wednesday's live stream. And I don't know if you are looking forward to Integrated Systems Europe that will take place from February 4th to 7th, 2025 in Barcelona. But I know one guy who is really looking forward to it. And this is because he's responsible for the live production stage. And please welcome with me Stewart Hume. He's editor for the famous TPI magazine, which he joined in 2015, works as an editor since 2019, and now he has the honor to fill the live production stage with live. Stu, can you give us an overview of the live event stage at ISE 2025 and what attendees can expect?
Well, first off, thanks for having me and this opportunity. It's nice to. It's been in the works for a long time. It's a good couple of months. It's nice to actually finally talk about it to the the wider world. In terms of the live event stage, this has been almost like kind of 3 years kind of progress working on it. ISE came to TPI so around 2020 when they were kind of making some real kind of moves to kind of have more presence of the live events side of the industry involved in ISE. So at that point we started putting on what we called the Live Events Summit. This was part of their summit program. It used to happen on the Thursday of the trade show, and the goal was to almost kind of highlight some of the trends and kind of bring along some of the people from the live touring industry, which is what we cover in TPI, and to give the ISE audience a bit of an insight into this world. But the problem we have, TPI, we cover everything. So me and my team, we go to shows and we speak to production managers, front of house engineers, lighting designers, video directors, everyone that kind of makes a tour happen. So to condense that all into an afternoon of sessions was quite hard. So we spoke to ISE after the kind of first year and kind of thought about, could this be something bigger? And could we almost use it as a chance to kind of create a hub for live events in ISE? And essentially that's what now has become the live event stage, which we're premiering next year. So it's going to live in the lighting hall, and it is its own stage and a networking area that's attached to it. And what we really want the live event stage to be is a hub for live events within the ISE world. And we have a whole when we've got 7 sessions every single day. So there's a lot of content throughout the 3 days, and then we also have a 4th day on the Friday, which is all about education, which we can talk about a little bit later. But we're going to be covering the whole everything that makes a live show happen. There's a presence there. We are going to be talking about audio, lighting, video, staging, some of the wider kind of business trends that are happening in the live touring industry. So and the idea being that you can go along to that. You can see one talk. If you're into audio, for example, we've got plenty of audio sessions. You can go along to those, see some great people, some great talks, but then you can also have the chance to then go back on the show, because ISE is becoming very quickly the busiest show for a lot of people in this industry, and not everyone has the time to spend a whole afternoon sitting down listening to me speak and my panel, so they can go along, see the sessions they're interested in, and then go back to ISE. And then we're also within the networking area as well. Within the evenings, we're going to have some nice kind of social chances as well to kind of unwind after a busy day and talk about live events.
Yeah. And who should attend the live production stage? The live production stage, is it more intended for users that are still for many years in the business, or do you also put a focus on the newcomers, on young people that are maybe attending such a big fair for the first time, to give them like a hint where to look at, where to put their focus on?
Kind of both. I think ISE as a whole, it's obviously you only have to look at the exhibitor list. Everyone that's involved in the manufacturing side has a presence there. I think it's still building its audience though when it comes to end users. So I mean, the live touring, the actual crew people, the roadies, they have their annual calendar, and there are certain kind of dates that they always have fixed in their mind. I like to think the TPI Awards that we run obviously in February, that's one of the ones people have in their mind. They know that happens every year. I think for some of them, ISE isn't quite there yet in terms of something they know they go to every year, but the manufacturers are. So I think for this coming year for the Live Event Summit, we're kind of hoping to be attracting a lot of the manufacturers and rental houses that are out on the show floor to come along and then hear from the end users. But this is the first year of something we hope to be bringing back again and again. So that's who I'm kind of hoping to. This is a chance to kind of hear from people that are on the ground using equipment out on the road with artists, talking about their experiences, and to give some feedback to the kind of let's call it the upper end of the industry, the people produce and making the equipment and who are kind of buying the equipment as well. And as you said, there is also a big part of this year on the Friday of the show, which is going to be run by Production Futures and Hannah Eakins from that side, um, which is part of the whole TPI wider family. The goal of that Friday is to kind of really give youngsters that are coming into the industry a place again that they can go to and almost be signposted where they might be interested. And if you're interested, if you're a young person interested in audio, okay, well, come to the live event stage, maybe hear a session, and then speak to the people there. Oh, you're into audio? Well, that's where all the PA manufacturers are. These are some of the people you can go and speak to, and just give them a bit more of a fighting chance. Because obviously, ISE is huge. If you can imagine just going there for the first time, it's like where do you go first? It can be a bit overwhelming. It still is for me, and I've been working at TPI for 10 years.
Yeah. Let's get a bit more into details. Are there any standout sessions
Sure.
or speakers this year that you think the audience should not miss?
So we've definitely got some great people involved in the live touring industry. Roland Greil is actually, he's a return speaker from various other kind of sessions, who's done lighting design for everyone from, well, Rammstein. That's the one I'm always wanting to talk to him about. But he's involved in the Rolling Stones camp. He's done some stuff with Helena Fischer. If you look him up, he's got some big artists to his name. We're bringing on Burton, who's Madonna's front of house engineer, and was involved, as well as Post Malone. It's a real kind of interesting two artists. It's his big ones he's got to his name right now. Another session I would really suggest people come along to is we're doing a collaboration with Laura from Frameworks. Frameworks, if anyone doesn't know, it's a real. They kind of sell themselves as a group of people that are involved in pixels. So there've been so many kind of like collectives from the lighting world, so many collectives from the audio world. This is really the collective for people that are working in video. And what her session, she's actually put the panel together herself. And what they're going to be exploring in that session is where video as a technology can take the entertainment industry. So obviously every live show, there's usually at least one element of video, be it LED screen, be it projection, but content can take us to so many different places, and you only have to look at ABBA Voyage, for example, the new Elvis show that's coming out in London pretty soon, and a lot of this is very video led. So they're going to be talking about all the kind of where video as a whole can take us, because it's really kind of really pushing the boundary of entertainment as we know it. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
they're three kind of highlights, I would say.
And apart from video, are there any other key trends in live event technology that will be showcased on stage?
So this was an interesting one. Before I started kind of even putting pen to paper what panels we'd be doing, we're like, what are some of the big topics that we're hearing from the live events industry and when we're out on tour? Now, the topic of, obviously there are all these different departments that make a live show happen: the audio department, lighting department, video, staging, special effects, etc. And the conversation that these departments are melding closer and closer as the years go on has been an ongoing conversation. The fact that lighting and video are effectively almost the same department, and they're usually kind of overrun by a show designer, for example. But this has moved on further and further as the years have gone. So tracking as a software is something that is really kind of like, again, melding all these departments. Now, tracking was often used, well, it's still very used by lighting designers. It's very rare when you see a follow spot operator up in the ceiling anymore, because there are various options from tracking where artists will have nodes and then their follow spot can follow them on the stage, to technology such as Follow Me, where there's someone out back with almost kind of a joystick, which is using the follow spot. So that's obviously very useful for lighting, but it's moved on leaps and bounds since then. So you're now getting stages where the automation of the rigging is being tracked as well, and that is then sending some information that then is affecting the video screen behind. So the content is now kind of also feeding into this tracking information. So that's one we were kind of really keen to explore, of like, where could tracking take live events? And we've actually got two sessions to that. So we're bringing together like four of the big manufacturers involved in this side of the industry to talk about where they think this is going. They're not there just to say which one's better necessarily. They're more like, this is what we've taken and this is where we think it could go. Yeah, and then in terms of other trends as well, I think during the return to live events after COVID, people, for a multitude of factors, budgets were a bit tighter and supply chain issues were still a problem for everything. we saw a lot of lighting designers having, due to, yeah, again, budgets and supply chain issues, having to kind of maybe think outside the box of what fixtures they would use for their live shows. So the result of that is now you're looking at some of the biggest gigs that are going into the O2 Arena, Madison Square Garden, and you're seeing more brands than you ever have before. And brands that we were aware of, but they would almost exist in a kind of slightly lower tier of touring. They'd be big in the academy tours, for instance, but not necessarily on the arena stadium tours. Now all of a sudden you're seeing these brands that are really kind of making some trends, and it's great for someone that writes about technology because there's more to write about. There's more names, and I think there is many lighting designers out there that are also joining this. So this is a topic we're going to be bringing up on a few of the sessions as well, being like there just seemed to be an explosion of the brands that people are kind of exploring and kind of toying with, and it's creating, I think, some more interesting shows in some respects as well.
Okay, yeah. And how do you see the live production stage influencing the live event industry in the future? What are your goals, your aims?
I think it would just be really great if there was. It's a great time of year, ISE. For the touring hasn't officially started at that point. We're still coming out of the winter break. Rehearsals are obviously kind of like starting. That's which is someone's trying to get people to come to ISE because obviously they're in the middle of rehearsals for their spring tours that are coming up. But I think it'd be great if there was just something at ISE that was a place that everyone knows they can go and to socialize. Because isn't that the big thing that we all lost in 2020 and 21? It was these kind of chances to kind of get together. The trade show itself is great. There's a great chance to kind of see all the new latest technology, speak to all the manufacturers, and get a feel of what's going to be coming for them in the next kind of 12 months. But I think that's what we really want the live event stage to be, and a bit of a home for us at TPI. You know, this is a place that we can go at the end of the day and then kind of have a bit of networking, because again, it's the missing link, I think, that's been hasn't quite been found since the return of lockdown. Just a chance to be together. So, as well as obviously create some great content in terms of panels.
Okay. And as someone deeply involved in the industry, what excites you most about ISE 2025 as a whole, Stu?
I mean, we really our whole approach at TPI. We always used to have various trade shows that were our kind of, we'd send our whole team, my whole editorial team, our sales team. And ISE for us, TPI, didn't always used to be that trade show. We'd send one or two people, but more and more, it's our biggest investment in terms of a kind of trade show we have every single year. And what I'm most looking forward to, it really kind of kickstart our year at TPI. We've already got an idea of what shows we're going to be covering, how the next 6 magazines are going to look through that year. But this is when we can almost like kind of double down the deals. And we're like, okay, well, this is the shows we're covering. So for me, it just kind of amps me up for the year, because when we get to December, everyone's a bit tired, as I'm sure everyone goes through this. Yeah, the Christmas break, and I'm looking forward to that feeling again of like, right, here we go, new year, what we're going to be covering, what new technologies out there, and so and just catching up for everyone again. It's just such a nice, further, especially speaking to all the manufacturers. It's a great chance to shake hands and kind of like see the friends you might not have seen for 12 months.
Yeah, nice picture. ISE as 2025's kick-off event for the industry. And what goes into creating such a diverse and impactful program for the live event stage?
It's tricky. Essentially, getting a large number of crew personnel into one space at one time is herding cats would be the analogy I would use, because by the very nature of what they do as a career, they're all over the world, and their main job is to follow the artist to rehearsals, to tours. And their schedules are always a bit over the place, and they can't necessarily promise that yes, I'll be free on January for February to come along to ISE. So that's the bigger thing. You've got to have a plan A, but a plan B, C, D, E, F, who can like kind of maybe fill these slots as we kind of get a little bit closer. So that I would say is the biggest challenge, for want of a better word. But it's great to have this medium of a panel, because we've got our magazine that comes out. We're very proud of our content, but the panels, it just gives you a chance to explore some content that you just wouldn't in the magazine, because you can obviously bring feedback from the audience. It's kind of keep the conversation going. So yeah, I'm not sure if I actually answered that question properly, but
very probably. It was a quite personal one, and I think we got the emotion that you are really into curating this program. Is there anything else you'd like to highlight or share with the audience about the upcoming ISE?
I think the other thing I want to highlight as well is with the panel, what I've said to everyone that's going to be speaking on that stage. So each session is about half an hour long, but the other part of when they agree to be part of the live event stage is that they're going to stay around afterwards. So as I said at the kind of start of the conversation, it's going to exist in the lighting hall. So we've got a stage, but then right next to it, we've got a networking space. So I find that sometimes you can watch a panel at a trade show and you might see a great lighting designer that's talking about an amazing show. The panel ends, you might not be confident to put your hand up and ask a question. You want to speak to them, and before you know it, they're off into the crowd and you never see them again. We really want this to be a chance to actually go and speak to the panelists as well. So they're going to be sticking around after the session. So you can go and have a bit of it's not just a case of, I'll see a talk from whoever's on the panel. You actually really do have a chance to speak to them. And the way we've done the content as well, we're trying to make it so the next panel leading won't have too much conflicting themes. So let's just say it's an audio panel. The next one will be something on video or stage design. So if you're really into audio and you want to speak to that person, you're not missing anything out. You can just go and speak to them and just have a chance to, make a new connection.
Mm-hmm. And what about the technical depth? If I'm not so much interested in technical details, is it also interesting for me to attend the live event stage to get insights in touring production, in management topics?
Mm-hmm. We try and base every single session we do, we set a baseline. So some of the panels we've done in the past, when it was the live event summit, they obviously do go very technical, but we always try to give a basic overview. So if you are not involved in that particular department, you at least kind of get an understanding of what it's going to be about and where it kind of fits in the wider landscape of live touring. But there are certain sessions. I think I mentioned the tracking one before. There's two sessions. The one with all the manufacturers, I think that might get a bit technical. So there is something to sink your teeth into if that is what you're into in terms of like really wanting to get into some numbers and some figures. So it kind of varies, but I would say with the more personal interest ones, so Burton, Madonna's front of house engineer, he's going to talk about his techniques, but it is a chance just to get a real overview of what his workflow is and what it's like to be a front of house engineer for such a big artist.
Okay. And you can get a deep dive into technical details always afterwards the panel if you have the chance to grab them face to face. And then say, okay.
Exactly. That's where so that's where I see it going. It's like they can tease the technical and the talk, and then if anyone wants to go into more detail, you can grab them afterwards and kind of go into a bit more detail.
Okay. So, and now we're coming to the end slowly. We have some comments. We have ein Moin aus Kiel. Hello from Kiel from Ulrich Bahr. Sven Bauschke greets us from Lindlar. And Ulrich Bahr makes the comment that for him, the Pink Floyd Hannover concert is still the state of the art until now. So maybe Ulrich should visit the ISE to get some insights into the latest technical developments that would bring the chance to top the Pink Floyd Hannover show whenever it took place.
What year was that? But I mean, what's interesting is like some of the heritage companies that we have involved in their company. So Tate, for example, a lot of the people that are involved in that company were involved in the Pink Floyd shows back in the day, and and then moving on to the Roger Waters shows as well. So and their session, I didn't talk about in the conversation before, but it's one of theirs is they're going to really talk through the history of stage design and kind of where it is now. But I mean, they've been involved in obviously some of the biggest shows in the world. So, but I do agree. Like, it is interesting how you look back at the heritage and where, as much as everyone thinks this is a tour comes out to the best things ever happened, if you look back at what was going on in the 70s and 80s, it was in a more analog world as well, which makes it all the more impressive.
Yeah, and I think this is a very good combination to talk about histories from the past together with the latest technical developments. Stu, thank you very much for giving us a detailed insight into the live event stage at ISE 2025 in Barcelona that will take place in Barcelona, of course. And 2026 again, it was in, I forgot.
You're starting the rumor mill.
It was worth trying. So, thank you very much to my guest today, Stewart Hume, editor for TPI Magazine, and I interviewed him in his role as a curator for the live events stage. at the ISE 2025. Thank you very much, and I wish you very much success for the live event stage at the ISE. Goodbye, see you.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye there.